Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Draft Day Sports College Basketball. This is episode 57, and it is selection show time. We are coming off our fifth conference title. It was looking pretty iffy whether we would make the tournament this year at 22-9, even though we just had a really harsh schedule. We weren't actually a bad team, so let's see how we fare now that we are guaranteed a spot in the tournament. Let's first see where we end up, what sort of matchup we have. I would imagine our seed's not going to be quite as high just based on that record. If we're a 13, 14 seed, it's going to be a bit challenging to get out of that first round. So we've avoided the dreaded play-in games. We're into the tournament proper. Memphis with the number one overall seed. Perfect 32-0 record. Wow. I think that's the first time we've seen a perfect record. We've seen a one-loss team before, but I don't think we've seen a perfect record entering the tournament. 2 seed over here, Michigan, 24-8. So pitiful, right? Oh, and there we are, and it is a 14, and it's Duke again. Whew, okay. Number 7 overall. Harsh matchup. Looks like we're going to be going down in the first round, I would think. If we do somehow survive the first round, it's Northern Iowa or San Diego in the second round. That is a far more favorable matchup, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get past Duke. The next 1 seed is Michigan State. After that is South Carolina, 27-5. A little surprised they're able to get a 1 seed on that, especially when South Carolina is probably only about Conference D, maybe E. They're not that high. Nevada, 2 seed over here, BYU. And the final 1 seed is North Carolina State, 29-3 overall, with a net of 11, an overall rank of 7 coming out of Conference B. Duke not having a perfect year. I mean, 23-11 overall is barely better than what we managed to put together, and just 9-7 in Conference B is probably only second or third place. Not quite sure how they're ranked so high, actually, considering we do apparently have a bench advantage, but they have an advantage in 4 out of 5 starting positions and are favored by more than 75% for this one. They beat Kentucky. They lost to then number 2 Michigan State on the road by a lot, so they're good, but they're not that great. But then they beat number 4 Baylor in overtime at home. But a lot of top 15 matchups. Most recently losing to South Carolina. I would think that was probably in their conference tournament, and it looked like not necessarily the championship game of the tournament either. But they did beat South Carolina. So they played them 3 times, by the way. So they beat them the second time they played at home when they were then number 4. So they beat the number 4 team, 5 team, and then again the current number 4 team at home. They lost all but 2 on the road, though. So they're very much a home court advantage type team. But again, they're not going to be on the road to play us. Neutral territory. You figure they're gonna come out ahead. There's the first thing stands out at me in what we have in terms of matchups. I have a 3-guard lineup with 2 centers. They have a 2-guard lineup with 3 forwards. Their tallest guy is 6'8". Woodruff at 7 foot. Should be grabbing a lot of rebounds today. Albert Evans at 6'10". Should get a decent amount of rebounds today. Let's see if that rings true. Wingfield is supposedly their best player and is getting 6 rebounds a game. 5.9 for their other guy. I would imagine they're still going to get a decent amount of rebounds in this one. We'll see. Their entire group is averaging double digits other than Heward at 9.9 points per game. Our scoring it's been a little more selective. 2 primary scorers. We'll see how they perform today. Expectations are low, but we'll do what we can with this one as a 14 seed against a Conference B Duke team. Just hanging with them, and losing by 10 would be a good showing probably for us. Is it possible to win a game like this? Sure, but we've proven this season that we have some difficulties, and we're having some difficulties even making free throws right now. And actually, so are they. finally do get our first bucket on our, fourth possession? But trailing 7-2. Not a good start. Already down by 5. Just 3.5 minutes in. First turnover there. Oh, second turnover, actually. And rebounds are level so far. That's one thing to keep an eye on. If we can be positive in the rebounds, that's going to be one really good way to help keep this game close. So far, they are 5 for 7 from the field. So that's 7-point deficit that we are facing. Another 3. And then a quick transition and score. They had 5 points in a matter of a few seconds there. And another 3. They're 3 for 4 beyond the arc. Cannot compete with that. Cannot compete. We're already down by more than 10, which is what I was hoping to keep this game within. But they are 67% from the field, including 50 beyond the arc. No amount of quality defending is going to stop that. Fouls are at 2 apiece, so it's not like we're committing a ton of fouls and down to our backups and, they're beating those guys or getting them from the free throw line. They are just shooting at a better than NBA level. We're definitely not defending at our normal level, but again, there's a massive, massive difference between where we play conference-wise and where they play conference-wise. And as good as we are, we've got a long ways to go yet. And while we have managed a single Final Four appearance, we were very much a gift of some matchups there. Slightly more favorable than what we have here. This is a good Duke this year. Not an excellent Duke, but it's definitely a good Duke, and it's a step beyond us. But for now, we've caught some momentum here, and we've willed our way back into single digits. And let's see if we can draw any closer. I'm okay with us shooting 40%. Them dropping below 50% is a sign of where we're going. They were 3 for 4 beyond the arc, now 4 for 10. So they're throwing up a lot of threes. That is a huge part of their offense. But we've been holding them to about a 6-point gap here for the last 6 to 8 minutes or so. Wide open there after the screen. Cut, free throw line, mid-range jumper there, and now we're back out to 10. One free throw, cuts it back to single digits, and yet another 3. Now 5 for 11, and more free throws. We only have 5 fouls committed, yet they've still shot more free throws than we have. Back up to 50%. Meanwhile, we've also gotten to 50%, but we have 10 turnovers to their 2. We are just not taking care of the ball. We're not producing the same sort of defensive numbers that we've grown accustomed to with the defense this year. And we are turning the ball over a lot. And they are doing the kind of things on defense that we typically do as we hit halftime just inside single digits, 9-point deficit. Seabrooks, 1 for 5. Williamson, 1 for 5. Woodruff, 0 for 1. None of our players in double digits. McMillian doing okay at 3 for 3, with one of those a three-pointer. Seabrooks, all 5 attempts have been beyond the arc. Bench is definitely shooting much better than our starters are. 2 for 10 from 3 is not helping us. +3 on rebounds, though. That's absolutely helping, but the turnovers has been a major problem. +3 on fouls is absolutely helping us, but they are 5 of 13 beyond the arc. Overall, couple percentage points better than we are, and they have way more attempts because we keep turning the ball over. We take care of the ball a little bit better, we might at least be able to keep the gap similar in the second half. It's really all I'm hoping for in this one is keep it respectable. And it got ugly twice in that half where we had one good stretch. 3 rebounds for them already in the first couple minutes here of the half, and we have 0. So um, apparently they had a chat at halftime about getting after those rebounds. Gap down to 6, though. Nice little stretch, but already 4 very quick fouls here in the half. 3-point game. 1-point game. We have a ton of momentum right now. We have a lead, folks. They have not scored in a while. We are just tearing it up right now, and we continue to add to that. They finally get something from the foul line, 1 point there, and that was their first score in the last about 5 minutes. The first minute or two started really poor for us, and then we absolutely caught fire. And over about a 4-minute stretch there, we scored. It was about an 11-0 run, something like that. Plus 5 on rebounds. That was where that had started. 5 rebounds straight that we'd picked up. The turnover battle has gotten so much closer now. Still -3, but we really close that gap. They've retaken the lead, but this is very much on that path to a respectable outcome. I mean, we have a second half lead. That's huge. Will we maintain it? Probably not. Probably not. Wingfield, he's got 15 points. Only two rebounds, though. I mean, we are holding him up, but his teammates are doing great. Renich has 16 points, 6 of 10. And now all of a sudden we've gone cold. Yet somehow they didn't have any momentum. I appreciate that. We have the momentum back after finally scoring for the first time in like 4 minutes. Thought we had a steal there, but apparently got called for some sort of dead ball. Wow. Double fouls. And now we're at 8. Momentum keeps us within 4. But we can't seem to do more than trade buckets right now. We're -7 on the free throw attempts, even though overall for the game they've committed more fouls than us. But they're +3 on 3-pointers. We're +2 on field goals overall. But that -5 on turnovers not helping. We're shooting so well. +8 on the rebounds. Like I said, that rebounds seemed like something that could help keep us in the game. And after they haven't had a rebound in the last 10 minutes. They have 0 rebounds in the last 10 minutes. This is what's keeping us in this game. Back to a 1-point game. 6 to play. Foul-wise, while we're not doing great this half, they are catching up on us a little bit. 10-9. We're within 1. We're within 2 points overall. Still a chance at this game with 5 to play. I think the respectable outcome has been achieved. Now, can we maybe challenge and, that next round didn't look bad. They're starting to grab rebounds again. They've had 2 now in the last 2 minutes. But we continue to box out really well and get those defensive rebounds and get the occasional offensive rebound as well. And we've got the lead. McMillian with a 3. 3 to play. Let's slow it down some more. 54% from the field. It's taking the perfect team performance, best they've played all season. Oof, big turnover, transition bucket. Stepkovic cuts it to 1. Minute 49. No score on that possession. Huge 3, and they make it. They make it. Let's take the timeout. Oh, thanks, game. Thanks. I called timeout. You turned the ball over before you gave it to me. Take the timeout now. Just over a minute to go. 3-point game. We do not need to foul. We need to score, though. Oh, and we throw it away and give out the transition. 5-point game. And the momentum for them. Use the other timeout. Last 30-second timeout. We've got 1 full left. It stopped the momentum. 36 seconds. We cut inside. Take the quick 2. McMillian drive. Looks like a floater. 3-point game. Can we stop him here? Oh, we fouled him. Come on. 5-point game. Up the pace. Intentional foul. 10 seconds. Send him to the line. Full court. And that's it. That's it. We missed our last second shot there, but we finish. We finished losing by just 6. Not bad. Not bad performance from the team. They made it scary there for a Duke, and we almost got that huge upset, but not quite. Good performance by the team. Seabrooks, McMillian, Williamson all getting to 11. 53% from the field. They ended up at 50. 9 for 20 from 3. That was what did us in. The turnovers were bad, but it finished -7 second half. Where was it at halftime? What were we at? -9 or something like that. So we actually had an advantage in the second half. Rebounds only +3. So down the stretch, they really started crashing those boards. That and the fact that they made 4 more 3-pointers in the final minutes is what did us in. But good performance from the team. Not enough out of the tournament. Let's go ahead and get to the end of the tournament, see how things go, so we can get into the offseason. By the way, Trotty, 5 for 7, 16 points, 6 for 10 from the line too. Huge game for him, though he had 4 turnovers. Alexander, let's see where our turnovers largely came from. Well, everybody, just about everybody who played had turnovers, but Alexander also 4 for 5. Trotty had 5 boards. Purvis had 6. 11 points. Wow, what a performance. The bench came out huge for us in this one. Fouls, nobody fouled out. Everybody was good to go at the end, but you can see like Woodruff only played 16 minutes. Only got 1 shot attempt. He did grab 6 rebounds. That was what he was there for, but those fouls from him hurt. Heading into the Final Four, here is how the brackets have turned out so far. Memphis beating Michigan. Michigan, the one who knocked off Duke. Duke had some trouble with Northern Iowa as well. You could see where they're a little off this year as they struggled with both of us, and then ultimately were blown out by Michigan. In the Chicago region, Michigan State also getting through. It was Oklahoma who upset Florida on the path, but otherwise top 4 made it that far. And then you had Minnesota with the upset over South Carolina. Wow, big one there. And then they go down to Stanford. So Stanford climbing through this side of the bracket and into the Final Four. BYU with the upset over Nevada. So a 4-3 and a 4 getting through to the Final Four. In this bracket, North Carolina State gets on through, beating Kansas State. No big surprises there other than Baylor upsetting Pittsburgh. And that sets up your Final Four looking like this. 3 1 seeds, including the undefeated Memphis Tigers. They are going to be tough to beat. You figure North Carolina State should be a favorite to at least play in the championship game. And will anyone beat Memphis this year? And Michigan State has upset Memphis, where North Carolina State did comfortably beat Stanford. So Michigan State and North Carolina State playing for the championship. 2 big-time programs going at it in this final. And it's Michigan State winning 80-66. So the Michigan State Spartans have claimed this year's NCAA Championship. I still think we are going to be many, many years off for competing for a championship. That Final Four appearance is going to be, I think it's going to be quite a few years before we can even replicate that. But as we climb, as we get up to maybe Conference K and above, I think by that point we should start having a pretty good team that we're able to recruit. We'll see if that's actually the case. Part of it's down to my skill set as it grows and develops, and as we climb the ladder, the opposition gets harder and harder. But we've maintained consistently that best team, putting that best team together. So we're staying a step ahead of the step up the ladder. But eventually, those steps ahead will put us into being a 1 to 8 seed every tournament. We've had a single 8 seed, and then eventually, getting up into that 4-5 kind of range. But I think that's going to start happening somewhere around that Conference JKL area. Conference O right now heading up to N for next season. So a few more years maybe. Seabrooks has claimed Defensive Player of the Year. It's a title we've been holding for quite a few seasons here, that Defensive Player of the Year award. It's been pretty much a regular for us the last few years. And then meanwhile, another Coach of the Year award. Evans has made second team all-conference as the center choice. And Williamson has made first team all-conference. And Seabrooks, who gets Defensive Player of the Year, doesn't make any list. But then again, offensively, he has not had a great season. So I can see that being the case. But I was a little surprised he didn't at least get second team all-conference if he's the best defensive player in the entire league this year. But offense has been very much a different story. So our second coach, our second assistant, Cameron Jefferson, who's making $50,400 right now, wants an increase of $4,000 for an extended contract as that's getting set to expire. And he is good on player development, and really the only one that we have that has multiple stars. Well, we have some 2 stars here. We're gonna have to pay that. But that means money is starting to get really, really tight on these coaching salaries. So for yet another year, we're going to have to continually ask for more money. And as we continue to climb the ladder and build that profile, the prestige of the program, hopefully we'll continually get some yeses. We have gotten some yeses, but it's been tiny, tiny little gains year by year. And we're very much running low on the cash. Speaking of team prestige, the conference is up to 15, and we'll climb again and get a couple more points. But that team prestige is now sitting at 23. So it's got a ways to go yet, but we're almost a quarter of the way up from the nothing that we started with. I do find it a little odd that you have head coaching positions available pretty much every year, that the AI doesn't really renew head coaches at all. Here's that coaching carousel as a perfect example. The 2 teams that played in the national championship and the team that had the best regular season record all have available coaching positions. Same with Gonzaga and Duke, and I mean that's all conference A-B teams right there. That's insane, and that's way too much. There shouldn't be that much rotation of coaches. You may remember that we had a huge recruit this year. Even though he's only a 4-star, he's right on the edge of 5-star. He was ranked 41st in the country. He's scoring nearly 20 points a game in high school, getting the assists and the rebounds, and he's producing at every level. And he's got outstanding defense, outstanding scoring, outstanding stealing. I mean, this guy's going to put up numbers unlike anything we've seen, or at least maybe to a Darius Q type level. And hopefully this is somebody we can hang on to long term. And then we very, very quickly completely ran out of money, as we had so little left after the transfer portal this last season. And we were right on down to $5 before we had even gotten out of the visitation period. Luckily, we were able to get Nicholson. We did, meanwhile, just throw offers at other guys. And just today, we ended up with a letter of intent from Dave Marion, who we gave an offer to and never visited or anything because we couldn't afford to. But apparently he did not get an offer from anybody else. Ranked 181st nationally, but you can see he was ranked much higher, but I think less attention might have lowered that interest a bit. But a solid 3-star guy who was a B overall, B plus defense, good scorer. I mean, this is already a good signing for us normally. And we didn't even have to visit the guy, and we got him. Now, the only thing about it is that does give us 2 small forwards. So we have our post players coming back outside of Alexander graduating. It's going to be Seabrooks and McMillian graduating. That is the ones we're going to have to focus on trying to replace with, I believe, 2 more scholarships that we have available right now. We'll get into the transfer portal, absolutely looking to fill that void. Just a reminder on the roster part, we're going to be fine without Alexander because we'll have Woodruff and Evans back, and then we have Trotty and Purvis, and Trotty did so well this year, so off the bench. So I think we're going to, between those 4 guys, we will easily have the post covered, even though Alexander is graduating. And then small forward was an issue, but we just recruited 2 outstanding small forwards, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So Williamson, who played small forward this year, will be shifting back over to shooting guard for next season, but that does mean point guard is a big need to fill. Seabrooks and McMillian both graduating, both heading out. Zach Johnson is somebody I'm hopeful for with really high potential, but player development has not been our strong suit at all, and he's poor on defense. So I'm guessing he's going to develop to the point where he is capable as a backup, as a redshirt freshman next year, but certainly not starter. So point guard. Point guard's the one to key in on and not need to necessarily worry about any other positions. And it's time to meet with the board. Of course, the facilities, we eventually want to upgrade those again, but we did get that upgraded 3-4 years ago now to a C, but at least it's not terrible anymore. I think we're going to have to climb that ladder at least a few more steps before we start thinking about asking again. And in the short term, budget's huge. Staff is a big part of what gets us over the top in so many different ways. And the staff still isn't good, even with the increases we've had to the budget. Request approved. It's not a massive increase, but another $8,000. And of course, we're instantly spending 4 of that on the improved contract for the re-signed second assistant. So that's $4,000 more than a year ago. Not quite $4,000, but hey, it's climbing. It is climbing, and we've been getting it approved multiple years in a row. So I do think we've kind of reached a stage where our prestige has outdone the level of facilities, the level of budget that we work with. Maybe a tiny factor. I have no idea if it's even calculated in any way, shape, or form. Size of the stadium and how many people we can fit in there may play a role, which, by the way, I need to update that one again as the channel has been growing quite steadily here of late, and there's almost 500 more subscribers than there was when I updated that about a month ago. Even though we only signed 2 players, 2 total, 56th in the recruit class rankings. That's huge. That's huge, because even when we had a good one, we've tended to still be way down towards the bottom. It's out of 358, folks. And we were in that spot, right? We were literally a decade ago right down there at the bottom. But here we are, 56th. That sets the bar pretty high now to try to replicate that. So nobody transferred out, but Purvey disappeared. So I either missed that he was a senior and has now graduated, or something got screwy. But we have 3 post players, 3 very good post players coming into this next season. Gailey has developed well during the offseason, as Cron has not. And Nicholson comes in not as strong as we thought he was going to be, though is a 5-star potential talent. Currently, only we see him as a 2-star. Let's hope after the early part preseason, he'll come in quite a bit better and can contend with Gailey for equal minutes or better going forward, because we absolutely want to focus in on a Nicholson kind of guy to get him to develop, and we definitely don't want him transferring out. So even if it costs us some wins this season, we'd rather see him on the court than lose him, because we get 3 more years with him, right? Suffer through 1 year a little bit, even if it means our quality is not as good this season. But anyway, Marion, though, doesn't come in as a major talent, or at least on first view. Williamson looks good, but could be better. Anderson will back him up, and Anderson was fine as a backup last year. But again, point guard, huge problem. Zach Johnson, as a redshirt freshman, not looking good as of yet. Does not look like he has developed, but we still have plenty of time. It's only May. But that does show that Point guard is the main spot to fill. Power forward, second one. And here is our first signing, at least on first look. Power forward. He was 3.5, 4.5 is where I saw him before we offered. He's day signed on, looking as maybe a 2.5. But either way, he'll give us solid backup minutes. Good defense. Rebounding should be higher than that, as he's had double-digit rebounds in games with the transfer, and a decent scorer. He's not going to protect the ball terribly well, but he's also not going to commit too many fouls, and that's a good thing. He can play defense and do so without committing fouls. If he can just grab some rebounds, he would provide us, solid backup minutes. As for the race to sign a point guard, things have not gone terribly well for us. All of the best guys that I've gotten after opted to go elsewhere. They chose bigger programs. I was after 2 guys, including a senior that I was hoping to, bring in as kind of a short-term stopgap. And then a sophomore that was going to be a little more not quite ready now, but longer-term prospect for us. And wondering if any of our Kincaid was one of the guys. Kincaid was one of the ones I was looking at. He's dropped down, but I saw quite clearly that Kincaid didn't look great, and was why I hadn't offered for him, but he was coming in as a B overall. And the others are gone, so they have opted to sign with other programs. And so I'm down to 3 out of 5 candidates. Well, Kincaid was the 4th, but Johnson dropped from a B down to a C. In fact, I think Kincaid dropped from my list. There was a couple C's that I looked at. I believe Kincaid was on that list, so actually he's lower than what we saw. But Johnson looks okay. He definitely looks okay, but not great. And Jefferson is the other one that we're looking to offer. Neither one is the greatest of options. Martin, terrible defense. He's going to do okay-ish with the ball, but not great. Looking at walk-ons here that are, hoping to get offers from bigger programs than us. So 2 weeks later, all 3 of those guys did not sign with us. They were gone that next week. They signed with somebody else, and we were left pretty at a pretty bad spot. So I had nothing but D's and F's in terms of those guys that we had scouted. And beyond that, it was guys that weren't getting minutes, guys that weren't producing. They weren't scoring. They weren't creating offense through assists. You have a limited set of data to work with on kind of the selection process here. And you can only afford to scout so many. I mean, we're already down under 15,000 left for the year in terms of budget. And this is going to be kind of final straw. So we do have quite a few scouted now, and you see a lot of Fs, a lot of Ds, and we're just going to have to pass on all of those and then take our chances here. Now, this is somebody we just scouted for the first time. I'm guessing we are wildly off with this rating. I don't think he's going to be a 4.5, 5-star kind of walk-on sophomore. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near correct in what we know about him. And he's a disruptive force. I'm afraid to actually give him an offer right now based on that criteria. I don't think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, his numbers aren't fantastic. I think we're wildly off. So, scout and contact. And even though it's going to hurt my chances by waiting another week, I'm going to take all of these guys, just these, and we're going to wait one more week just scouting this group. There's nobody else to get after down here. There's really nothing left, slim pickings wise, in terms of guys that we have not scouted. Every bigger program, except for maybe, that's centers. That's every position. Ouch, that's all that's left. Every position. I was on point guards only. I'm not on point guards only anymore. So some of these guys are other positions. There's 4 targets. 4 targets. Let's hope there's 1 or 2 left next week from the 4. And then hope that there's something out of them. Okay, so we do have 2 point guards left on our list. Let's start with the lower one. It's Kevin Hender, 3.5 according to us, who's at least going to ball handle well. In his discipline, he's not going to commit fouls. He's athletic enough to do the press. And this is good. Okay. That's one offer. By the way, this was the A 4.5 out of 5-star guy. He's a 2, 3.5 who can ball handle, play a little bit of D, can press, and not commit fouls, but otherwise, yeah, not good. Daniels might not be much of a defensive threat at all, which is really worrying for me. But he does offer us a bit more kind of everywhere else. He is going to shoot outside, and apparently is a good outside shot. And he's a good guy. Let's hope his ratings aren't as bad as he looks. He was scoring 10.5 a game for New Orleans this last season, with a few assists. More turnovers than assists, though, and that's bad passing from the looks of it. So both Hender and Daniels have signed, so we got both of them. Gets us somebody ahead of Johnson, as Johnson, is going to need time to develop. We'll see where these ratings end up. I know that they're not going to stay here. They're definitely not going to stay here. But they apparently have a good outside shot, all 3 of the guys we just brought in. None of them seem to be great scorers. Both of these guys are better passing the ball than anybody else on the team, but not very good. Ball handling wise, though, they're definitely a step up. They can handle the point guard position. They're going to provide us some decent rebounds, really, both of them, compared to the other guards. But defense is going to be a real concern at the point guard position this year, as none of these 3 have it. But there you go, folks. That is our roster for the coming year, apparently led by Albert Evans, Daniels, Trotty, Woodruff, and Hender, along with Williamson and Gailey, are our top 7. With Pogge, you're going to have 8 deep, with Anderson and Nicholson able to come off the bench in a pinch, and Nicholson, of course, is the big-time recruit that we just got, that we want to make sure that he's getting minutes. So it looks like we'll have a rotation of 11, and then most likely redshirt freshman Johnson, who's high potential. We're going to want to get him some minutes as well, at least 4 or 6 a game. This could be a challenging year. I'm just looking at this roster going, I'm not so sure. Evans, Daniels, Hender, Gailey, Pogge, Anderson, our defense. Here's our defense. Kind of stops at about Cron. And even then, it's more like Anderson. We have 4 good defenders this year. None are outstanding, but for us, that's good for our level. But overall, as a team, I think we're not going to be as strong defensively as we were last year. And offensively, Seabrooks struggled. I think these guys are going to struggle a bit more than Seabrooks did. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.